Hi, this is Tim from fititmidlife.com. Today, I've got the 3-month follow-up on the Nike Free Metcon 3. This is the shoe that combines Nike's Metcon line with the free running line. How has it worked out? That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to compare it to the Nike Metcon 5, the Nike React Metcon, and the Reebok Nano X, so stick around. Okay, so this is our 3-month follow-up on the Nike Free Metcon 3. So this shoe came out earlier in 2020. It is part of Nike's Metcon line, which means functional fitness, CrossFit style workout shoe. But it also combines features of the free running line from Nike. So you would expect this shoe to be good for CrossFit and better for running as compared to other cross-training shoes and things like that. So let's talk about that, but first let's just do a quick tour of the features. So you'll notice, first of all, this thing's got a lot of sort of midsole to it, and if we look at the outsole, we see this very unique outsole, unlike that of anything else on any of the other Nike CrossFit training shoes. So you'll see these really wide flex grooves. There's a lot of foam here. There's some durable rubber, that's the darker gray, but there's also this really wide, flat heel. So this is a nice, stable foundation, and this does not compress much at all, which means it's a good heel for lifting weights, whereas you do get some cushion, and there's quite a decent amount of flex up here in the front. And of course, forefoot flexibility is excellent. For a cross-training shoe, this is definitely exceptional flexibility, and it is, those are the features of the Metcon line, right? The stable heel and the free running line, that very flexible, semi-cushioned outsole. So mesh upper, it is fairly lightweight, very comfortable. We've got regular laces, which I prefer. I don't like the quick lacing systems that Nike has. They're too hard to get the shoe tight enough. And it does use fly wire, so you can see these little threads here, which are actually Vectran filaments that run through the shoe. So you can tighten the laces. It helps kind of tighten up the shoe. This, being sort of a slip fit style of shoe, fits quite snugly to begin with. But it is very comfortable, and I do like the pull tabs on the heel and the pseudo tongue here. There's really no tongue on this shoe per se. So overall, very comfortable. So let's talk about it then. How does this actually work in the gym, in the box, when you're working out, etc.? Well, it's a pretty good shoe. I like it. It's got that heel that you need for lifting weights. It is stable enough, so deadlifts, squats, snatches, cleans, you can do that kind of stuff at, I'll say, CrossFit style weights, right? Like in CrossFit, you're doing, not always, but more often than not, you're doing higher repetitions with lesser weight, right? You're doing those sort of exercises almost like they're a Metcon, metabolic conditioning style of workout. So I wouldn't necessarily use this for hardcore powerlifting training, certainly not for powerlifter training. Bodybuilding, maybe not there either. It's a little too disconcerting. It's got the heel, but look at that weird gap. And I can show you here that there's actually, you'll see air under the shoe, or you'll see daylight through the shoe there. So you see that? So the outsole doesn't actually even touch the ground in the middle here. That's a bit disconcerting. So, I'm not saying, if you squat a lot in these, your foot's going to collapse and you're going to break your foot bones. I'm not saying that. But let's think about this for a moment. Is there any shoe you would wear for lifting weights that would have that kind of weird gap in the middle like that? Like lifters don't have that, and even all the other cross trainers are flat. and you get more contact area and stuff like that. So that's a bit disconcerting. So adequate for CrossFit style weightlifting, in my opinion. Wouldn't necessarily use these as a purpose bodybuilding or powerlifting shoe, or if you're doing heavy squats and deadlifts, I'd probably just look at something else. You probably don't need all the cushion that's in this thing if you're just doing squats and deadlifts and that kind of stuff anyways. But let's talk about running then, right? Because this is a free shoe, so you would think it would be good at running. And I can confirm this is my favorite cross-training shoe to run in. Not my favorite running shoe, because it's not a running shoe, it's a cross-trainer, right? It's a compromise between a running shoe and a weightlifting shoe, really is one way to think about it. But it does have good forefoot flexibility, but more importantly, it's got a decent amount of cushion up front and even in the heel as well. So it is not a horrible running experience. And at first I was very concerned with that sort of weird big heel that like this would be too weird to run in, but actually it works just fine, right? If you're heel striking, it's got that kind of curve, that edge on there. So like you really don't feel that very wide, very weird heel when you're running. Side-to-side stability is good because it's got your foot kind of sits down in this valley of material, right? This foam part comes up quite high. Your foot is kind of nestled down in it. So overall, decent shoe for running. But again, the caveat is like CrossFit style running, right? I wouldn't go run a 5K in these. I wouldn't run a marathon in these. I wouldn't train for a 5K in these. I would wear real running shoes. But for running hundreds of meters, sprinting and that kind of stuff, these are good. They're good. And box jumps and all that kind of stuff equally are pleasant as well, right? Because you have some actual cushion. So you can kind of take away a little bit of the jarring impact. So overall, I am pleased with these. The only thing I don't like is the weird aesthetic. So especially from this side, like you see that weird gap there and just that really bizarre looking heel to it. But that's on the inside. So if you saw from the on foot, like the side people see the most is this side anyways, and it just looks like a regular shoe, maybe with a extra big heel to it. So overall, I am pleased. I would buy these again, and I do wear these regularly for working out and doing all kinds of other stuff as well. Okay, so then how does the free Metcon 3 compare to, say, the Nike Metcon 5? So I've been using these for quite some time, since they came out in 2019. And overall, I like the Metcon 5 quite a bit. So let's take a look outsole-wise. You can see the Free's got that outsole, but the Metcon's got that flat outsole that you would expect in a cross-trainer. Firm heel and some decent flexibility, but not like the Free. So it's not bad, but not quite the same. I do like the Metcon 5, as I mentioned, because it is comfortable. It fits well, for me at least, as long as you go a half size up. So this is an 11.5. This is a men's size 11, by the way, which is my normal shoe size. If I had to do it all over again, I would get a men's size 11 still. So I believe these run true to size, at least in my experience. The Metcon 5, again, went up to an 11.5 because the toe box is a little bit cramped for me. Otherwise, overall, a good shoe. I do think this shoe, the Metcon 5, makes a better weightlifting shoe. Barbell squats, deadlifts, cleans, snatches, all that kind of stuff. Why? Well, because it's got the flat outsole. There's no weird hollowed out middle part. And, quite frankly, it just works, right? Because it's got the the removable midsole. We can pull this out here and you can see the heel is quite firm. There's some cushion up front, but overall it works. The other thing I like about the Metcon 5 is they have these removable hyper lifts. So you drop these in underneath this removable midsole, and you can see that gives you extra heel to toe drop. So if you're not pleased with the 4mm heel to toe drop that the basic shoe has, drop in the Hyperlift in the men's shoe. That gives you an additional 8mm, which gives you a total of 12mm heel to toe drop, which is quite a bit. Why would you want that? Well, That'll mean when your heel's up higher than your toes, you need less ankle flexibility to get deep in the squatting position. But really remember, that'll help anytime you're moving a bar off the floor. So deadlifts, squats, but also, cleans and snatches where the bar is starting on the floor. It all helps there. So overall, this is a good weightlifting shoe. I do like the Nike Free Metcon 3. I like this better for running. So the cushion up front is better. And to my feeling, this isn't a super cushioned heel, but this feels better for running when I heel strike in the Free Metcon 3. So are you going to lift more weights? You're going to run? That's probably how you should decide between these two shoes, in my opinion. How about the Nike React Metcon then? Because this has that same flat, stable outsole as the Metcon 5, but it's got a forged fly knit upper, no laces, it's got a quick pull lacing system, and most importantly, on the inside, it has a drop-in React foam midsole. So does this make the Nike React Metcon a better running shoe than the Nike Free Metcon 3? In my opinion, no. So this isn't very much React foam. This is, it's very thin, especially up front. And it's just, yes, it's more cushion. It's better, more responsive cushion than you get in the stock Metcon 5. There's just not enough of it here to make a difference you can really feel, in my opinion. I don't care for running in these. It's not like a React running shoe at all. So I've run in the Infinity Run React shoes. I've run in the Pegasus Trail 2. I've run in the Pegasus 37. These are all React foam-based shoes that have, in the case of the React Infinity Run, it's got like 4 times as much foam in some places, certainly in the forefoot, as this little tiny piece of React foam here. So I don't think it makes this a better running shoe. And the other thing I don't like is I can't just get the darn thing tight enough with this quick pull lacing system, so it always fits me a little bit loose. And that could be because of the shape of my foot, but I can't get it as tight and secure as a shoe with laces, so that is not good for me and running. Combined with the minimal improvement in the React foam, and I much prefer to run in these here. Now for lifting weights, you can lift weights in these too, it's fine. It's React foam, yes, but there's just not that much of it, so that it is still acceptable for lifting heavy weights, barbell type lifts. This is a little bit more pleasant to use for box jumps and things like that as compared to the Nike Metcon 5, because this React foam in the heel is more cushioned than what comes in the stock Metcon 5. But my beef with it too, it's just so thin up front. Like if you're jumping rope over and over and over, you're really not getting much of anything out of the forefoot in this React foam insert. So overall, I would say go with the Free Metcon 3 is a better cross-training running shoe. Okay, so how about the Reebok Nano X, which is new for 2020? So this shoe is the 10th version of Reebok's CrossFit training shoe. It is basically the Nano 9 with a new improved upper. So the upper looks better, it's stretchier, it's more comfortable. The tongue is different. The collar comes up higher. There's more padding in the collar. But really, the outsole is unchanged. The midsole, there's no change in this shoe that really I can detect. So the question is this better for lifting weights than the Free Metcon 3? I say yes. Why? Well, because the Nano 9 was really good for lifting weights. Flat, minimally cushioned, very stable heel, very stable outsole in general, great for lifting weights, 4mm heel to toe drop, and has some forefoot flexibility, not a ton, but great for lifting weights. But this is not a great shoe for running, even short distances, because of that lack of cushioning, and they've really done nothing in the Nano X to change that situation. So when it comes to running, this shoe, the Free Metcon 3, is definitely the better option. Again, short CrossFit style runs, hundreds of meters, not a 5K, not a marathon, things like that. You just have better forefoot flexibility. You actually get some cushion up front. You actually get a little bit more cushion in the heel, this big weird heel. as bad as it may look, it looks kind of weird. It actually works okay when you're running. And this is lighter, so this is 12.2 ounces. This is these shoes are up in the 15-ounce range now, which is quite heavy. So that's the deciding factor here. If you're going to lift weights primarily, this is a good shoe. I also like it because it's really wide. It's really comfortable up front with the wide toe box on the shoe, whereas the Free Metcon 3, you don't get that same sort of sensation. So this is a good shoe. I do like it, but I do not like to run in these things. I definitely like running in the Free Metcon 3 more. All right, so that was our 3-month follow-up of the Nike Free Metcon 3. So this is a good CrossFit style functional fitness training shoe. You can lift weights in it with the solid heel. However, I don't know that I would necessarily recommend it for someone who is primarily just lifting weights. Its strength is that it can be used for short runs. So this is one of the best running shoes as far as a cross trainer goes that I have tested this year. That said, this is not a purpose-built running shoe, so don't expect the same levels of cushion and comfort that you would get in a running shoe. With all that said, it is a nice compromise. I would recommend it if you do more running than weightlifting in your functional fitness style workout. So if you like this review, please like and subscribe. We post new shoe reviews regularly. Thank you. Have a good day.